Okay, students, let's go over your practice quiz here. Number one, it's in standard form for a circle. And we know that the three words that go underneath it are opposite, opposite, square root. So 3, -8 for the center. Remember, the center is the left side. The radius squared is the right side. So how do I get the radius? Take the square root of 81, 9. All right, number two, we're going the reverse direction. They tell us what the center is and the radius, and we put it into the equation. So again, opposite, opposite, x minus 320 squared plus y plus 320 squared equals, and remember this is r squared. So I have to square the 8. I should be able to easily check it by going backwards. Opposite, opposite, square root. So it should be 3, -3, and 8, which is exactly what it says. And yet we have plenty of people that write down the square root of 8 instead of 64 there. They're not checking. All right, graph the following circle. Well, again, center, opposite, opposite, so 1, -1. Radius squared, so I take the square root, so r is 1. So I count out 1 in each direction, north, east, south, and west, and do my best to draw a circle. And that is it. All right, so now we are completing the square to find the center and the radius. We get the x's and the y's to one side, the constant to the other. So y is already positive there, so it's going to be on that side. You can see a -x squared there, so it's got to move all over there, so it's positives. So that's moving across, that's moving across. And I group them together. So I have x squared minus 2x plus a blank plus y squared plus 6y plus a blank equals the -12, the constant stays on the right side, and plus a blank. Okay, how do I get that blank to complete the square? It's always 1/2 of b squared. So what is half of -2? That's -1 squared. What's -1 squared? Positive. I better always have a positive answer there. Whenever you square any number, it's a positive. So you better never, ever have a negative in those blanks. All right, and then I just drop that -1 into there when I complete the square. And half of 6 is +3. Put the sign with it. Okay, 3 squared is 9, and then that's why it's +3 there. Y plus 3, 20 squared. So I added 10. 9 plus 1 is 10 to the left side. I must add 10 to the right side. That's where that comes from. Now, this would be an improper one because you can't do 10 minus 12. It's -2. So it should have come out to a positive, which it will on your quiz. And that's why I said there's an error in the problem right there. Okay, whatever it came out to be, let's say it came out to be 12. Let's just say it came out to be 12. Then I need to take the square root of 12. I can't write square root of 12 because that's not simplified. I'd only get 1 point. I need to simplify that down to square root of 4 times square root of 3, which then equals 2√3. And that's what I would put in there for the radius. Let's simplify your radicals. And don't forget we have opposite, opposite here. So 1, -3 for my center. All right, write a rule to describe each transformation. Well, what I can see here is this is just a translation sliding 1 to the right. So you write a translation rule. Translation rule always starts out with parentheses, x comma y, parentheses, arrow for maps onto. And then I write down x, and it could be plus blank right here, comma y plus blank. Well, how is it shifted? It's just shifted 1 to the right. So that's the x direction, so that's why it's a +1 there. Did it go up or down at all? No, it did not. So it's just a y. Same thing as y plus 0. Okay, number 6. I want to check the orientation first so I can see. So ABCD is clockwise, A prime, B prime, C prime, clockwise. So it's the same orientation. So it can only be a translation or a rotation, which is why it says that right there. And if it's a translation, it's going to look exactly the same. Well, isn't that A prime, B, A, B, C, D just slid right from there to there? So it's a translation. Okay, so now I write a translation rule. We just wrote one over here. Translation rule, this setup. So how do I get there? I just asked myself, how do I get from A to A prime? I went 1, 2, 3 left, so that's why it's x minus 3, and I went 1, 2, 3, 4 down, and that's why it's y minus 4. Okay, and you could do it from any point, any corresponding point, from B to B prime, C to C prime, or D to D prime. Doesn't matter which one you pick. Okay, so translation rule, you have to know how to write them. You did it on your assignment. Okay, now you're doing it here. All right, here we have another translation rule. So here's another example of it right there. There's no excuse for not knowing what a translation rule looks like. It's right there on your paper. Okay, that says plot 2, -1, A prime, and it says, let me erase this, I can read it, go right 3 and down 3. So just count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and there's your A prime. I could also just fill in the numbers right there. 2 plus 3 is 5, and -1 minus 3 is -4. So I've already plotted at 5, -4, which is what this is, 5, -4. Okay, either way. All right, number 8. Graph these pre-image points, A, B, C. So first I'm checking to see you can actually plot points correctly. If you can't do that, you miss the whole problem. Then draw and reflector over the line y equals 2. So next I'm checking from pre-algebra and algebra 1. Do you know y equals 2 is a horizontal line going through y equals 2? Okay. That means all the y coordinates have to be 2. 0, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2. X can be anything. So it should be very easy to remember how to graph that. And then reflections, remember, at 90 degrees and the same distance. Angle measure and distance are always preserved. So reflections always at 90 degrees. And distance has to be preserved. Remember, these are the two main ones that GCAS focus on, angle measure and distance. So I have that one. That's 1 away from y equals 2. So I go 1 up. And there's A prime. I count here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I have 1, 2, 3. So I go up 1, 2, 3. And then reconnect them and put their corresponding. So A prime, B to B prime, C to C prime. You cannot leave off your primes. You got to remember your primes. All right, number 9, write a rule that describes the translation. So it's telling you it's a translation. I want to go from Z to U. Here is Z, and there's U. So how do I get there? All right, translation rule. I go how many? 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right. That's why you see x plus 5. And I went 1 down. That's why you see y minus 1. It should be very simple. It's your ability to count. And remember what a translation rule looks like, which you already had up here given to you in number 7. And you wrote it in number 5 and number 6 on this practice one. Okay. All right. Next one, we're rotating 90 degrees clockwise. Okay, clockwise means negative, so that's like saying rotate negative 270 degrees. Is what that's saying about the origin. So rotation of negative 270 is the same thing as rotation of 90 degrees. So I remember rotation of 90 degrees is reflection over the line y equals x following reflection over the x-axis, which is y equals 0. Okay, so how do I reflect anything over the x-axis? The y-coordinate gets switched. How do I reflect anything over the line y equals x? Then you switch those, x and y, so that becomes negative y, comma, x. So there's my rule for a rotation of 90 degrees. You can just straight out memorize that, negative yx, or do as I just did, and write out the two reflections over intersecting lines. Remember, that's the definition of rotation, two reflections over intersecting lines. So you have y equals 0 is one line, and y equals x, the other line. Okay, reflected over the x-axis first, and then the line y equals x. All right, so there's my rule, which I wrote right up here. Okay, so now I can just apply those, plot those original points. Okay, A, B, C, and then apply that rule to each of those points. So A prime of 2, 1 becomes negative 1 because negative y, x 2. I'm just applying the a to there, and I get negative 1, 2. B, I get negative 2, 6. So I see negative 2, 6 there. C, you get 3, 4. You get right there. Now plot those 3 points, reconnect them back up, and you have your triangle again. All right, that goes ahead and explains every problem on your quiz. You're going to have it similar to this tomorrow or whenever you take it.